Good morning. It's Friday, November 2nd, daylight saving time this weekend, Sunday, and this is the first week of National Novel Writing Month. I'm going to talk about my Jabberwaki short story series based in the game session that I do, and update the Valkyrie of Desire chapters and do a little storytelling and maybe explain my marked up face a bit. I got bruising from jiu-jitsu, recovering from almost 2 weeks ago, and got some of my nose and my neck. Did jiu-jitsu 3 days in a row, so I get pretty beat up from that. I asked my partner when I was bleeding, like I didn't have a good bandage. So I'll put on these things, these waterproof bandages, but I'll just sweat them off. And he showed me this little jar thing, and he said, "Hey, this is liquid skin. It's great." I put it on. It stings. Like, what was that exactly? He's like, just some. Is it not disinfectant? Antiseptic and super glue. It worked. I'm a little hesitant to look up the safety of that, but I do know super glue has been a thing that's been used in emergencies, so for cuts and stuff. I don't know if I'll use it regular, but it's important to cover up any cut skin on the mats, since it's a way for nasty things to get in there and get infected. Anyway, the National Novel Writing Month isn't a thing that I participate in anymore. I feel when I started doing writing professionally, I felt that I was perpetuating some bad habits, especially with storytelling discipline, scene discipline, and it was great therapy, but when I started focusing and doing this seriously, doing the writing seriously, I stopped doing National Novel Writing Month and do it the whole year, not just 1 month. The idea is you write a 50,000 word novel in 1 month, and it's great if you're having trouble to just push through and just get that 2,000 some words done every single day. But I support it. It's nice to have it out there. I think that everybody's typing away, and motivation for myself to type away. For Jabberwaki, going into part 3, I'm thinking of titling it something like "Sucking Me Crazy." Mesuk's a character. It's going to have a little episode and slaughter some people. That should be fun. And for Valkyrie of Desire, my novel that I'm working on, I'm pushing into the middle of the book and starting to amp up the tension and starting to show what the main character is capable of, and cultivating her allies and network that she's been building, and facing an antagonistic force with a number of faces, but a consistent theme to this antagonistic force. So that's fun. And I've been continuing with some interesting creative parenting via storytelling for my son. He has been struggling with motivation for jiu-jitsu, so I cleverly inserted reference to jiu-jitsu in the storytelling. He loves this story with a character called CK so much that he wanted himself, his own name, to be thrown in there. So I had CK and Yuri's my son's name, go to this city, and they saw a fight, a grappling fight in a pit, and then I had the main character go down in there and going against this giant female orc who weighs like 1,000 pounds, and she's pregnant. She's got little orc babies that are pushing, stretching skin, trying because she's potentially going to go into labor. It's got a whole backstory. I think I won't get into that, but it's a pain for the main character to grapple with. So he's got to use his power to do kind of like a force field armor around to make himself big enough to fight her, but he doesn't have the weight, so he's got to come up around for a rear naked choke. So there's a lot of elements here. But the point is, he used jujitsu grappling submission to win the fight because he couldn't just beat her down because then she was going to go into labor and like the babies were going to come out. So it had to be this balanced. Maybe it wasn't the best approach, but he seemed to like it, you know. So that's sometimes that's all that matters. Speaking of liking, this last weekend for the game session, Sunday was a bit of a bust. Monday worked well. Sunday I held too tightly to how I thought it was supposed to go for the gaming session, for the virtual role-playing gaming session on Roll20. And my brother, playing the character Cole Grievance, charged in, whipped around with on his horse, with his lance, with reach, and just tagged the guy who was supposed to do this whole sequence of things and just ruined everything. And I held a little bit too tightly to it, and I was resistant to follow through the logical, totally new path. And it was a shorter session on Sundays. I got where we needed to go, but I do regret kind of tripping and just holding too tightly. So there's a lesson there, and just for game mastering, especially collaborative storytelling, don't hold too tightly to whatever plans you may have. The next day, Monday evening, I think flowed a lot better. And it's in the caverns with the Fungaloid. They met the magic mushroom caster, and in a little over a week they get to have some fun. And I won't. I've learned my lesson. Hopefully, it's a lesson I maybe repeat, and we'll let the collaborative storytelling take over. And I guess I'll be surprised with what happens. I've definitely stacked the deck against them, and maybe, hopefully, they will all die gruesomely. And then mushrooms, new, fresh, fungaloid mushroom people will grow out of their corpses, and perhaps some of their personalities will be imprinted on this new generation. Have a great week.